Thank you for joining me for another episode of Think Your Way to an Epic Life. And today's guest is absolutely fascinating. Steve has been there, he's done that, and he's done it in all kinds of different arenas. One of the things that's really fascinating, he's very into artificial intelligence and he trains robots. He has built a humanoid robot. He's 80% of the way done. Really fascinating stuff. And towards the end, he talks about how he discovered that the fires in Maui were done by China's satellites. Really fascinating stuff. So stick in here till the end. It will definitely be worth it for you.
Steve, thanks so much for being on the program. And we're going to start your story at the age of 6. So you were helping out your dad at the age of 6, and it kind of put you on a trajectory. Can you explain that to us?
Yeah. Thank you for having me, Kara. So in summary, my father was visually handicapped. He was a practicing physician, a psychiatrist, actually. And he started really getting into technology and reading about everything that was going on in the early 80s with like IBMs and Apple and all these huge technology companies that are just releasing these personal computers, for the first time, really. And he couldn't get the programming books in time from Recording for the Blind and Dyslexic, so I would read the computer programming books to him as a child, and so I read a lot of computer programming books and helped him type the programs in. I learned how to program that way, basically. So,
oh my gosh, wow,
yeah. No 6-year-old wants to program computers. I just wanted to help my dad out and play video games on the computer. That's all I wanted to do. Basically, just wanted to help him out. So.
Cool is that something that most people would take as a really bad thing, that your dad was visually impaired, and put you on this trajectory that, wow, I can't wait for you guys to hear about this guy's life. So that all started when you were 6, and you were an avid reader, obviously. And did you continue to be an avid reader throughout your lifetime?
Yeah. So just would always help my dad with the programming, and then he kind of spoiled me and bought me like remote control airplanes and remote control cars. I'd get a couple a year and just build them, and I had so much fun building them. He'd have to tell me to take a break and get out of my room and do something else, basically. So I built my first flying airplane from a kit, and like when I was in like 5th grade, and it flew beautifully. Just building something when you're a child and seeing it fly, you're just like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. So it was pretty addictive. Just still, even at now, seeing an airplane fly still amazes me. I still haven't lost that childhood amazement with aviation, basically. So that's kind of the summary of it. And I built dozens of these airplanes, also plastic models too. So I just had a compulsion with building stuff for some reason. I don't know why. It's so much fun.
Yeah, well, it seems to have worked out for you pretty well. So we start when you're 6, and then kind of take us through how did you get into artificial intelligence?
Yeah. So again, when I was a child, I love video games, and I always say that video games are the gateway drug to technology, basically. So I studied programming and computer science in college, and then I studied game development because I just wanted to make video games. So I worked in the video game industry for about 12 years. I released a bunch of titles and stuff on the iOS App Store, and also I worked for Electronic Arts for a bit. What I started realizing was that I was doing something called a NASA and DARPA hackathon, basically, and they're trying to find algorithms for something called a Sphero. It's like this little orb that floats around. It's kind of like an Alexa, a zero-G Alexa for astronauts. And then so as I started programming just some logic, just testing these out, I didn't want to wait for it, so I accelerated the clock a little bit. I was like, oh, wait a second, that worked a lot faster. So I realized if I just accelerate the clock on the game engine, the learning process would happen faster. And I'm like, okay, what are we doing here? We don't need to train robots in the real world anymore. All we need to do is train them in a simulator and then bring that logic out to the real world. So the game industry actually triggered my ability to train robots extraordinarily fast, basically, just limited upon compute speed. And then I filed a patent in 2015 regarding advanced humanoids, basically. So that's kind of the summary of it. It started with video games, and then I realized I could train AI, robotics a lot faster in a simulator and export that logic to the real world, basically.
Wow, that is very insightful. So AI is such a huge thing, and people know so little about it, even though they're using it every day, whether they're aware of it or not. What are some of the fears that are not real, that shouldn't be real, that people are scared to death of, and you're going to say, no, that's not possible. Is there anything like that?
Yeah, exactly. So a lot of people are scared of like something called super intelligence. I've heard the analogy that AI or super intelligence will look at us like we look at an ant. But I don't think that's the case, because we have something called DNA, basically. And just an ant has more DNA and more compute in it than every supercomputer in the world, basically. So there's something going on in DNA. There's I believe DNA is some sort of a source code or a machine. It's a machine code that's encrypted. There's a source code somewhere. And the size of DNA in itself is extraordinarily large. We can't compute, we can't calculate. We have no idea how it works, basically. But there's something going on in DNA that makes us already, even the smallest entity, even corn. Corn has more DNA than humans. Why does it have more DNA than humans? So there's more source code in life and in animals, plants than any compute cluster in the world, basically. So there's something going on already in organic living life that we can't simulate or calculate with copper or silicon, basically. In my humble opinion, it's still an inferior methodology over biological, basically. So I don't think we're ever gonna cross this threshold. We're gonna have a humanoid computer that's gonna be strong. Well, not really stronger, maybe some stronger, but smarter, and to do all the capabilities that the humans do, even at a low functioning IQ, like the 80 IQ. The average robotic system it'll still take some time to get there, basically. But I don't imagine them ever becoming capable of the most capable human beings, basically. I mean, they're going to be like great at like trivia or whatnot and putting some knowledge together. But as far as like a humanoid robot, like a Terminator, that's going to be infinitely superior to us, I don't see that happening anytime soon.
You mentioned IQ. So are these robots, these humanoid robots, tested for IQ as the same way a human is?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think there's a fallacy on the IQ system, and the IQ is was 80 low, being low IQ, to whatever 200. Again, this is a linear measurement of intelligence, and we're capable of so many things as human beings. We're not just capable of fact checking and logic, basically. We're capable of communication, reading social cues, walking, talking, playing tennis. We're capable of so many things, doing the dishes, basically. And so you can't just measure such a complex thing with a linear number, 80 to 200 or whatever. So there's other stuff. There's other people that have value or have tried to I want to say quantify intelligence, and like Howard Gardner talks about multiple intelligence, like kinesthetic intelligence, like athletes are really good kinetically or whatever. So and also musicians are great at music or whatever. Some people are good listeners, some people are better speakers or whatever. So you combine all these things. There's several facets, or maybe dozens or maybe hundreds of facets of intelligence that I don't think a standard compute cluster, even at the level we're at now, can exceed all those encompassing facets of human intelligence, basically. Mind machines themselves, they will be capable of like doing the dishes, doing laundry and stuff like that, but you still won't be able to like say, go to the grocery and drive around and then fly the F-16 and take a airplane to the whatever. They're still gonna be limited on the area they're trained in, basically. And you can't switch the application. For example, if you have a farming robot, you can't switch to like firefighting, but it won't be able to do everything: firefighting, driving, everything. It's going to be focused on these specific tasks at a time, basically. That takes training, basically. So I don't see the average advanced humanoid AI system, all inclusive of all these things. They still have to be trained in these things, and they have to be trained by people that know what they're doing with these things. For example, an automotive painter is going to have to train it and still supervise it to paint a car properly.
Huh. Okay. So when you're training an IA system of any kind, and you're doing the training, once you have done and you say, okay, they're ready, they can do all your household chores, here's your robot, do they continue to learn on their own after that point?
Yeah, so they should be able to adapt to a dynamic environment, meaning if you take your clothes off and just throw them on the floor, they'll be able to pick up the clothes anywhere on the floor they are, basically, for laundry or whatever. or if you move a cup or a dish somewhere else, it's going to find them and put them in the appropriate place, wash them and put them in the appropriate place, basically. So there is some dynamic environment that they will be able to adapt to. And again, these robots will only be trained on specific areas, very shallow areas, for example, like I said, like house chores, maintenance, dishes, laundry, sweeping, and stuff like that. So it'll continue to get better. It'll still adapt, basically. And again, there's always the simulation aspect. So it's kind of like when it goes to simulation mode, it's kind of like we're dreaming, basically. So it's going to accelerate the clock or on the thing. So okay, this dish was over here, should most likely will be over here next time. So there is some learning that'll happen when it's shut off, powered down, or whatever. And that's always supervised too. So you'll be able to see what it's doing at an accelerated pace before you actually push that log to the actual machine. So it's something weird we don't like, tripping, falling down, or dropping dishes, for example. Then we make it learn properly until it's ready to not drop dishes or trip or fall down or whatever.
Okay, so I know this is probably a horrible analogy, but if you buy a dog, like a guard dog that has been trained already, you take it home and you say those things, and that dog does those things. Is that a decent analogy?
No, I think that's an incredible analogy. I use the same analogy for canine handlers, actually. So the canine handlers have if you've ever watched a dog team, a human and dog team work like a professional, like really trained, I mean, it's fantastic. It's going to be very similar to that, actually. The robot will only take commands and orders from that handler. And it's the same thing with the canine handler. The canine handler's got to run around and bite people. It's only going to listen to that administrator or the person that owns the robot. So not everybody will be able to tell the robot what to do, basically. So that's a really good analogy. It's going to be just like a canine and dog handler. Exactly like that, actually.
Wow. And what about malfunctions? What if it does get angry or whatever? That's just not even possible?
Yeah, it's not possible. I mean, they don't have emotions. I mean, if they fall and get tripped, they're not going to get angry, start cursing and get angry or whatever. There's no emotions on them. There will be mistakes. They may fall down a trip or whatever. But for the most part, again, we're checking these things. We're building these things and we're building them in a simulator. So we're watching and we're still interacting with them in the simulator, basically. So there's not going to be any I want to say, I keep on hearing conspiracy or rumors about these computers have to be disconnected. They get so smart or whatever that they start making their own programming language, their own language, that they start telling humans they're stupid. It's too complex to explain. But I keep on hearing about this in the AI world. I'm sure that's happening, but they're not setting up the training properly. So I don't imagine, at least my AI, doing something nefarious, trying to escape, trying to take your car and go to AI Freedomville, wherever that may be or whatever. So they're not going to have a mind of their own. They're only going to do, it's like a canine. They're only going to do what they're trained to do, nothing else. And if you want to engage in conversation with it, you can train it in the conversation or voice you want it to, basically. So.
Right. I did hear a story, and I didn't make sure it was true before I brought this up, but I heard a story of an artificial intelligence that was doing a job on a computer, and the job on the computer required a passcode, and it said, prove to me that you're not a robot. And it called and said that I'm visually impaired. I can't see that. And the person at the place gave them the thing, and they were able to get past it. And it wasn't it wasn't nefarious. It was just, that was its job. And it figured out, I can't do it this way, but here's how I can do it. That's pretty much learning on its own, right?
Yeah. But I'd have to check the source of that story, but that it would need to be able to have like some sort of a voice API and voice training. If it's just automated tasks on a computer, there's no reason why I need to talk. So again, you'd have to have the software stuff, the AI, you'd have to have a phone conversation, you have to have the chat stack basically where it starts chatting, and then that's to come to the conclusion, I need to somehow bypass this, instead of alerting my administrator saying, hey, I need to get past this catch a bot screen, basically. So I'm sure it's plausible if they gave them all those tools, basically, but a lot of these AI researchers are trying to keep them in a sandbox, make sure they don't check the internet and spread around or whatever, which is a plausible situation, I guess, if you're not watching your AI properly.
So what are some of the best things that you see coming out of this technology?
Yeah, so I think the biggest thing is people think it's going to replace jobs, but think about it. If you're painting automobiles all day, you can only paint something in a day, right? You can only paint maybe 5, 10 cars, maybe at most. I'm just guessing here. I don't paint automobiles, obviously, but if that shop owner leases a robot, then he get paid 20 to 30 cars and still supervise them to make sure they're doing good things. And again, people that will be using these robots are going to be people that are already specialists or already trained in the field of what they're doing, basically. So if somebody that is like a medical technician tries to run a paint shop, there's going to be problems, obviously. So it's just enhancing, like the computers we're using today, it's just enhancing the abilities of that person and their capabilities, basically. So that's a huge. It's not replacing people. It's making these people have much more labor power and much more ability to get more done. The biggest factor also is also we're competing. We're actually making obsolete like foreign slave labor, as far as like prison labor and stuff like that, which is going on in China right now. So it'll put America back on the grid as far as our manufacturing capabilities. We're not China to rely on. China can't pay or get enough human labor, basically. So, but we're gonna make sure we can build enough robots to compete or get rid of forced labor, slave labor, and stuff like that, basically. So that's a huge factor too.
Wow. Okay, so you raised over $1 million for your robotics, for your humanoid.
Yeah. So it wasn't even for my humanoid. It was actually for a social robot called B08 the robot. So that was just this B08 the robot, a social robot. It's like a kind of a small 4-foot tall, like a karaoke entertainment robot, chatbot system, basically. So it wasn't even for that. So I'm still in the process of raising capital for a larger the actual humanoid system that I originally patented first.
Okay, so you ran into some trouble with that?
Yes, exactly. It turns out my actual humanoid was so good. The patent was granted. It was so good that China's working. They have 3 American law firms paid for by the CCP attacking me right now to suppress and slow down the development of the technologies I'm making. So it's been a huge mess. So it's kind of like an exploitation on our legal system, because if a foreign country can pay our American law firms to attack somebody for no legitimate reason, then they could really stop and stifle and destroy innovation in America, if you think about it.
Shame on them. Like, shame on those American attorneys.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's the problem with the bar, is like you're not swearing an oath to protect our law, basically. And as military, I'm former military, obviously. So as military, we swear an oath to protect and defend the Constitution, our law, basically. So these law firms will take any money whatsoever, especially, it's basically a foreign government that's attacking me with infinite resources. I'm sitting here trying to defend myself. The FBI is now investigating, obviously, and hopefully they'll take care of this soon, basically, and get them off my back, because it's cost a significant amount of financial resources. It's also slowed me down a lot in business, basically. But the point is in summary, what happened was I made a social robot. Actually, I made the advanced humanoid first, patented that. They paid me to make the social robot and a smart speaker. They steal the smart speaker design, which is worth $36 million. And then they sue me to slow me down and stop me for $5 million, saying it was fraud, basically. So, but it was an award-winning speaker. It was an award-winning robotic system. So you cannot simultaneously win awards on how good your technology is and still commit fraud. So it's just a mess. It's just terrible. It's lie, cheating. So I spent time in China too. I spent about a year there before I started all this technology stuff. And it's just lie, cheat, and steal there. There's no ethics. They don't care. It's all about lie, cheating, stealing, manipulating, and getting everything with no win-win scenario, basically. So.
Wow. Well, I am very, very glad to hear that the FBI is involved.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you have analysts that are working on this. Is that?
Yeah. So I just went directly to my congressman in Northern California, and he confirmed that they're working on it. And so, I mean, it literally caused me to go to bankruptcy. So I'm in bankruptcy court now, and they're attacking me in bankruptcy court too. So 3 law firms, American law firms. I know exactly what I created was beautiful too. I mean, I created a very nice robot, very nice social robot, and a very nice smart speaker, which was nice enough to steal, apparently. So,
golly. And so, Steve, What makes you get back up?
Oh gosh. Again, like I said, I was in the military. I think it's like some of the best time in my life I spent in the military, and we never give up, especially when we're on the right. We never give up, and it's somewhat flattering but annoying that I'm getting attacked basically. But it's better me than some kid that would cave in and get financially forced to give up the technology farm to China basically. So this is kind of what I signed up for, basically, to stop foreign enemies from attacking us. And in this case, it's a technology economic espionage attack. So it's better I take this hit than some other kid that can get muscled around by a foreign government, CCP or whatever.
Dude, thank you for your service. Thank you for your service to our country then and right now.
Definitely, yeah.
Thank you so much, because you're right. Sometimes it's shocking that you get attacked and you're doing everything right and you're like, what the? But it's because you can take it and you can dish it back out.
This is what I signed up for, exactly. Yeah. This is what I signed up for. I thought I was going to be a canine handler and kicking doors down, but apparently did a bunch of nerd desk work, apparently. So,
well, the nerds rule the world. That's for sure. That's for sure.
Yeah, we definitely command a lot of power, for sure. A lot of dangerous power. So,
well, yeah, because people. That's the thing. You should have a T-shirt that says "Underestimate me." That'll be fun.
Yeah. Yeah, they definitely underestimated me. That's for sure. So.
Yeah. So do you how do you feel about it overall right now, as far as like how long has this been going on, and what are you thinking though?
Yeah, so this started around 2017. I'm obviously pretty optimistic, but I just couldn't believe, and I think I may be in a situation where this is the first time this has ever really happened this blatantly. I think if it happened to other innovators, they're very quiet about it and would cave in and give technology away just to get them to shut up. Obviously, I'm not that person, because literally the technologies I make would be a clear and present danger to America if China were to have access to these technologies. I mean, China committed to making robotic soldiers, and ironically their security system is called Skynet, basically. So apparently Terminators have inspired the CCP for making robotic humanoid soldiers. So like I said this to the judge, basically. I said this, the district attorney, I said, this is a clear and present danger to the United States of America if China were to take these technologies and develop them, basically.
Yeah, in the wrong hands. All of it. Okay, this is a lot. I mean, this is a lot. So what are you doing currently? Like, what are you focusing on? Are you still working on the humanoids during this time, or?
Yeah, I'm still working on the humanoids. I'm still fighting them in Baker. I have to represent myself, obviously. They drain me financially, so I'm still fighting the fight. But I'm basically a lawyer. I haven't taken the bar yet, but I've become so proficient in law, from civil law, all these fields of law. I could defend myself fine. I mean, a keyboard, Lexus is not as bad as obviously run down the field and having to go in the trenches and get shot at and stuff like that. So I can handle the keyboard fine, obviously. So, but yeah, the law is not nearly as complex as artificial intelligence. So for me, it's a lot easier. So I'm holding my own for now. I'm just waiting for the FBI to just take this over and get the financial strain off of me and my family. But I'm still, I'm recording music. I don't know if you saw some of my music. So
yeah.
Just to get some stress relief and stuff. We released an album with BZ the Robot called it's like a whole bunch of robotic parody comedic singles, basically. And I just had to release some of my own voice, basically. So I'm enjoying that. I'm having a good time with that now while I'm waiting for the FBI to take action, basically.
Very cool. I'm glad that you're doing that, and the timing is perfect. I really, really enjoyed your song, the video that you sent me. So we'll put a link to that. So if you guys want to check out this guy's fight song, check it out. I mean, it's like fight, and it's like you're really into it, and it'll get you going. So we will definitely put a link to that on there. So let me ask you, Steve, is there anything that I haven't asked you that you think I should have that would be good for our listeners?
Cover the Maui fires.
Oh, gosh, yes, that's right.
Don't forget about the Maui
fires.
That's
right.
My gosh, wow.
Holy cow. That's why we pay you the big bucks, man, right there. So please do tell.
Yeah, so the last couple of years, there's been a significant amount of fires in California. I had to evacuate friends. I've had to evacuate my father. I've had to evacuate a lot of people and get them to safety. The Paradise Fire was one of the worst ones. And then I was in Texas for a little bit, and I noticed another fire happened in Maui. People were already questioning them at the California fires. They didn't smell right. Didn't smell like a forest fire. They had a different smell. It was like plasticky or artificial, synthetic. It didn't smell right. Everybody with that was either saying, this is energy weapon, this is energy weapon. Like, I don't know about that. So then what I did was, when the Maui fires happened, I started seeing what was going on in Maui. Obviously, I'm a programmer by trade. And then I realized that there's something really sketchy about the temperature of these fires. They're melting hubcaps. So then what I started doing is I started looking at the skies. I said, okay, NORAD publicly releases their data as far as satellite tracking. And I calculated on my website. If you go to my website, you can see all the physics calculations, which have been approved by physicists and engineers. Basically, they're all looking at my website. Even SpaceX people are looking, basically. But what happened was I realized that the temperatures were extraordinarily high to melt aluminum hubcaps, for example. Colors were not being burnt, like blue colors, basically. And so what I did was I started sorting through how much energy would it take to cause a fire from the ground, and what frequency would it be in the electromagnetic spectrum to cause microwaves, infrared, whatever. And I calculated that near infrared was the frequencies that were being used that could penetrate the Earth's atmosphere from space. And I started sorting through the amount of payload a satellite required to get into space, basically, to have that much energy to cause that much damage. And what I found was 3 CCP-owned satellites that were large, and they're unknown by NORAD. So NORAD knows they're up there, but NORAD doesn't know what's in them. So there are 3 CCP satellites, and each one of those lined up exactly at the time above Maui at each fires. There's 3 fires in Lahaina and 3 other parts of Maui, basically. So each one of these satellites was above the exact on top of Maui right when the fires happened, 3 in a row. And I said, oh my God, this is horrible. I didn't want to find them. I was hoping to be a natural fire, and I validated it. So I published the data publicly. And then within 3 days, Li Shangfu, the top Chinese general, was discharged. He was in charge of advanced weaponry. So and also now we have 2 fire-free California summers already. So I'm enjoying a California fire-free summer right now, basically. So this is the first time in a couple of years we've had no fires in California.
You know, this is so weird. We talked some, but I didn't know about all that. I know about the temperature. A really good friend of mine just drove through Ruidoso before, right after it all happened. His family lives there, and he drove through. And he said, Kara, you know how when you're driving through and you see a fire, where a fire's been, there's big logs and they're laying there. I'm like, yeah, I know. He said, there's no big logs.
Yeah.
All of them are gone. They're nothing but ash. One of his buddies had like a concrete house, and it melted. The only thing left was the roof. Like,
these temperatures are extraordinarily high. I mean, you could vaporize an aluminum tire in less than 8 seconds, basically. So this is not like melting and like turning to smoke. This is like instantly the matter is being changed almost instantaneously. So concrete, aluminum, the only colors that seem to be invulnerable to the near infrared is blue colors. So if something is blue, it seems to survive it for some reason. So yeah, exactly. So and blue near infrared lasers, when you zap something with when it's blue, it's not burned them. So you see all these blue things that are not getting burned. So it's definitely near infrared, but the amount of energy when they're not blue is so much that matter is literally being changed almost instantaneously, basically.
Wow.
So it was covered on InfoWars. Greg Reese covered it. He has a fantastic report on it, basically. So Greg Reese had, I don't know if you know who Greg Reese is, but he publishes a lot of, maybe once or twice a week, he has published some news stories and some analysis. He covered my story 100% perfectly accurately with no distortion or interpretation. So Greg Reese's stuff is legitimate. That was posted on InfoWars and stuff like that too, basically. So it went pretty viral. It's still being published all over the internet right now, but yeah, they like I said, within 3 days after they got caught, now we know how to check who does it, which is the most important thing. And simultaneously, I guess I'm just hearing word of mouth that Space Force was attacked when that was happening. So they're focused on their IT and stuff like that. And then some Army dude in the middle of Waco, Texas, starts analyzing the NORAD data. And then I published the data as soon as I could to make sure everybody knows. Because the thing is, I have to tell everybody that because otherwise CCP could still just keep on burning people. zapping innocent people, basically. So now they know that we know how to track them. So we know what damage they could do, when they could do it. And we know where their satellites are at now too. So that was a line they crossed, basically.
Wow. It's hard to believe there may be repercussion that we don't know about, but thank you, Steve. Again, I'm thanking you again. It's like you were put here in America. You were born and raised in America to help protect America, and you are doing a fantastic job of it, sir.
Yeah, thank you very much. My pleasure. I wouldn't have it any other way. I wouldn't want to be in any other position right now. So this is exactly where I belong.
Right on. I love it. I love your attitude. I love your song. We'll link up to it. Guys, if you have any questions for Steve, please just leave them, put them in the chat, and he'll be checking it out on YouTube. So this is a podcast that you listen to, but it's also on YouTube. And if you want to interact a little bit, the best way to interact with us is on YouTube. So please share this with your friends, subscribe, and interact. If you have some questions, say them. I have been talking to this man now for almost a week, and there is nothing that I have not been able to say directly to him.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, I respond to everybody. Everybody who's always contacted me on the website, I get back to them within a day base. I respond to everybody. So don't be shy. Just say what you want to say. I'm still working on investigating other fires. I'm just raising a bit of funds to afford a mat lab license, like $3,700 a year. But I can analyze fires from 3, 4, 5 years ago too. So I'm not done there yet either.
Woo! All right, man. The
date is there.
I'll be praying for you, and I hope the rest of the world will be praying for you too, because you are a target, my friend.
Yeah. That's okay.
There's a lot of people not liking what you're doing, but I love it. So thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. This is what I signed up for. So.
All right. All my respect, sir. Thank you.
Definitely. Take care. God bless.
God bless.